For tuning into Wisconsin Living. I have a breaking news story to report. It's certainly not a good one, and it's becoming far too common here in our country. And now it's hitting home really close in my home state of Wisconsin here. Reports are coming in that there's a Wisconsin shooting where 4 people are listed as injured and the suspect is in critical condition. The shooting took place today in a small Wisconsin city called Middleton, Wisconsin. Suspect is also injured. Suspect is in critical condition as well. The status of the 4 victims is not being reported at this time. It's just saying that they're injured. Any possible motive right now isn't being released by law enforcement. Middleton is a small town that's located not too far from Madison. Very sad news. Details are coming in right now as we speak. Authorities are now in the process of clearing the building and the surrounding area. There's about 50 police cars and the FBI is on scene in the 1800 block of Deming Way of Middleton. One report is saying some witnesses says the shooter ran into the building and then the police have cordoned off that building. ATF is responding as well. Middleton Mayor Gerdip Brar, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, issued a statement stating, "My heart goes out to the people involved in the shooting. You never would think this type of thing would happen in your city. Really so sad that this happened here." And indeed it is. I'm kind of shook up myself finding this out. It's just becoming far too commonplace here in America, where these shootings are they're just happening far too frequently. And now finally it hits home right here in Wisconsin, and it's just disconcerting, I guess. It says that the shooter excuse me, I'm kind of jittery and full of nerves right now. It's an unnerving situation. It says that the shooter is contained. The latest report is that the shooter is in critical condition. So obviously, I'm assuming that it's safe to say that the shooter has been taken down and is no longer a threat. I'm not saying that for sure, but based on the reports that I'm seeing, if law enforcement is able to comment on the shooter's condition, I would assume that he's in custody in one shape or another. The shooter is in critical condition. The shooter was shot by police. Okay, this is coming in now. The shooter is in the hospital. This is no longer an active shooting situation. Law enforcement has responded. The suspect is in custody, injured, and Chief Charles Folk of Middleton, who's the police chief there, says that 3 other people were shot. Those 3 people were taken to the hospital for gunshot wounds. Obviously, I'm wishing them a speedy recovery, a full and a speedy recovery, and let's wish them the best. The first call for the shooting, according to the police chief, came in at around 10:30 a.m. I'm reporting this live right now. It's 1:35 p.m. here. So the shooting, the first call came in 3 hours ago, and this is just now making it into the news cycle. The first call came in at 10:30 a.m. of an active shooter at WTS Paradigm at 1850 Deming Way. This apparently is an office building. The police chief says that the Paradigm building has been cleared by officers and has been declared safe. The chief also says that all other lockdowns have been lifted. There are no other suspects in the shooting. An update now from the hospital says that 1 of the 4 patients is in critical condition and 2 patients are in serious condition. As I reported earlier, the reports that I got said that the shooter was in critical condition, so that would mean that the 2 patients who are in serious condition are people who were victims of the shooter. So we have 2 victims in serious condition, and the condition of the 4th patient has not yet been reported from everything that I'm seeing right now. Good news, I'm just seeing now that the victims of the shooting are expected to survive. Let's hope that that holds true. Bear with me here. I'm getting as many details as I can. Victims are being treated at the University Hospital in Madison. This has become our new norm here now. Shootings across our country, and now here in Wisconsin. Apparently, the office building where the shooting occurred is a Wisconsin software company business office. Initially, when calls came in for the shooting, in order from the police directing all people to lock doors, stay inside and shelter in place until further notice was tweeted by the Middleton police at that time. Later on, after the suspect had been wounded and placed in custody, the police tweeted that the lockdown had been lifted and officers and EMTs were on scene, but to avoid that area at that time. Thank you for tuning in. Let's hope that everyone involved, at least the victims, recover fully and speedily. Thanks for watching. Reporting any other details that I can find for you guys as quickly as possible. I don't want to keep everybody here. One employee at WTS Paradigm said she was working at her desk when she heard shots. She said she fled the building and hid behind a car as the structure's glass entrance door shattered. Imagine how scary that must have been. She goes on to say, "I'm looking back. I'm running as fast as I can. You just wonder, do you hide or do you run? She said. Wow. She said she knew that one coworker had been grazed by a gunshot but was okay. She called the shooting totally unexpected. We're all software people. We have a good group. So it just goes to show that you really just can't take your safety or your surroundings or your routine as, what am I trying to say? You just can't count on that. You have to always expect the unexpected now. And those are the times that we live in. You have to expect the unexpected. You have to be aware of your surroundings. And you have to have a plan in place. Hopefully your employer, wherever you work, hopefully, if they don't, I would advocate on your behalf that you bring it to management that there needs to be a plan in place if there is a emergency type nearby. There needs to be a plan in place because this is happening far too often, and it seems like a lot of people don't know how to respond when it does happen, and that can lead to more chaos, more injuries, and that's what we want to avoid. We want to keep everybody safe. So let's have a plan, whether it's at home, whether it's at work. Let's get plans put in place. Go through those plans, rehearse those plans, so everybody's on the same page and everybody knows the most effective way to handle that situation and how to recognize it and then how to react to it. So getting back to this shooting, another employee at this business said he was working at his desk when he heard a couple of shots. Coming from next door, which sounded like claps, like someone was clapping their hands. He said he then saw people running full sprint away from the building. You can imagine you're running for your life when you hear gunshots. But again, this goes to having a plan in place, knowing how to respond to a situation like this, so you're not caught off guard, and you can be as prepared as possible. So let's put it on our employers and upon ourselves to be proactive and prepare as best we can for a situation like this to protect ourselves, our family, and our fellow employees. So that employee goes on to state that we knew at that point something was going down. A ton of people were running across the street right in front of us, he said. So a lot of chaos, obviously, during this scary, horrific event. Again, this event took place in Middleton, Wisconsin, very close to Madison, Wisconsin. School officials in neighboring Madison emailed parents saying police have contained the situation in Middleton. And again, there's no threat to our schools. So to reiterate, the shooter has been taken into custody. The shooter is in critical condition. There are 3 other victims who are also hospitalized with gunshot wounds, and 2 of them are listed in, find it here, I'm not finding their condition. I'll update that for you when I have that. So this news story is finally breaking across mainstream media. It looks like a lot more details will be released, I'm sure. but I wanted to share this with all my viewers as soon as I got notification that this had happened, especially being that it happened in Wisconsin. I wanted to share that with any of my viewers that may live in Wisconsin, because I know I have a lot. So I'm hoping that everybody, all of you guys are, I'm hoping that everybody, all of you guys are safe, and that your friends and family are safe, and they weren't involved in this tragedy that's hopefully going to turn out as best as it can, because the reports are saying that the victims of the shooting are expected to survive. So let's hope that that holds true. Sending them my best wishes. Obviously, we're grateful that law enforcement was able to respond as quickly as they did and wound and then take the shooter into custody. Just looking through details here, trying to provide as much information for you guys as possible. There was at least 50 cop cars that responded. Ambulances, of course. At least 5 schools and daycares were put on lockdown, as well as a mall and multiple other businesses. The lockdown was lifted at 12:15 local time. Initially, police reported that the shooter had left the area and that no other information about the suspect or the shooting had been released at that time. Obviously, I said the shooter is in custody, is in critical condition in the hospital. The incident is over. It has been contained. And there's not a lot more to report. So, again, tragic news. Not the kind of news that I like to report, but it's certainly something that I feel I need to do, just to provide as much information for anybody else that lives in Wisconsin that could have been affected by this. Feel free to check your local news sources now. It should be being covered by all the major network news agencies, and I'm sure we'll get more information as the hours and days progress. But for now, I'm assuming, and I'm just reading into this, being that it was a business, an office building, I would assume that it's probably a disgruntled employee of some type who had a vendetta or beef with the company, with certain management or certain employees for whatever reason. We don't know why people do these kind of things, but and that none of that has been released by law enforcement. That's just my own presumption, because that's usually how it seems like these shootings play out when it's not in a public arena and it's in a more localized, where there's a specific target, specifically when it comes to businesses. That's my best hunch, is that this is some kind of retaliation for the shooter feeling that they had been wronged in some way, shape, or form. So we'll see what happens. It's really early to jump to conclusions. I'm just thankful that law enforcement was able to respond apparently as quickly and effectively as they were in this case, to limit the damage and the carnage that this guy, I shouldn't say guy, might be a woman, but to limit this shooter to injuring 3 people. Obviously could have been a lot more, so let's just be thankful for that. let's keep them in our, let's hope for the best for them, and they're in good hands in the Madison hospital. I'm sure they'll receive the best treatment as possible. So, thank you for tuning in, and stay safe out there, and I hope you guys have a great day.